Hey guys, what's up? Just want to make a quick little 5 or 10 minute long update here. So, 4 years. That's quite a while. I was pretty surprised to see that this channel still existed. I wonder if anybody who's in the subscribers is still active. It's pretty crazy. Randomly, I just searched up this channel one day when a friend and I were talking about the old YouTube days, and I was pretty surprised to see that it still exists. So here we are, 4 years later. Well, a lot's happened. Pretty crazy stuff. In that time, yeah, shit ton of stuff has happened. Long story short, uh, basically just spent a long time honing my skills, getting good at like video and visual effects and motion design related stuff. Got pretty good at it, and then got into contact with a company out in Los Angeles. And they actually relocated me to Los Angeles to work for them. So I worked for them for about a year, and that was pretty cool. And then after that, started working for another company out in Los Angeles. That's a startup company, and I'm doing all the design for them. Pretty neat stuff. Although, I guess part of why the subject came up was, I was mentioning to my friend that, this is all really cool stuff and all. And it seems like at the time when you kind of go after what you want, that's like the end game. And that's going to be like the, just the super cool thing. Like, holy shit, I got a job working in the industry as a visual effects artist. That's awesome. But I don't know, like, in my own experience working in the industry, even though I've only been in it for a few years now, well, I guess officially working in the industry a little bit less. Now it's been about a year. Yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of got burned out on all this stuff, to be honest. I stopped making my own content because I wanted to, I didn't think it was practical. I thought that I should focus on getting a real job. And so that's kind of what I did. I landed the real job, and then I got there, and it's like, this is great and all. But, I mean, compared to what I was doing for work before, it's phenomenal. But I got burned out on all this stuff, and I actually started to really not enjoy it anymore. So I had a period where I went from like super into it, and this is what I spent my entire day every day doing, to total loss of interest, and I just stopped bothering with it completely. I haven't even touched it. Like I do it for work full time, but that's just what it is. It's become work. It's not fun anymore. So I was I saw this channel and I was just thinking, that really sucks. I kind of created a little bit of a regret there, because had I been consistent with this channel, had I, continued to make content, on a consistent basis, especially back before it got really oversaturated, because now, holy shit, I can't tell you how many people do I run into that say, oh, I'm going to make money on YouTube, and I'm going to, make all kinds of content, and it's going to get hundreds of thousands of views and be super popular, and I'm going to become internet famous. And, the vast majority of them never amount to anything. And it's crazy. Like, just in a few years, how this all exploded. Back when I was into it, this is back in the Machinima days, back when Machinima was really still alive. There wasn't really anybody who could do it. Not many people knew how to video edit or, do visual effects or anything. If you could do that back then, you were like a god. It's like, holy shit, this guy can create explosions. How the fuck do you do that? But nowadays, well, first of all, Machinima isn't even really that popular anymore. But now everybody can everybody can and does create their own content, and it's just become so saturated with just low quality, awful content. So there's just so much more clutter now. Anyway, I don't know what that's relevant to, but that was just an observation I made. It kind of ties into what I was saying. I'm a little bit pissed because at the time there's like no competition. Had I just jumped in there and taken advantage of the opportunity, you know, and I know it's kind of dumb to say, if only I had, this is what would have happened, because you don't really know. There's just so many random variables that decide how something turns out. But I actually ran and started several channels, but I was always so like hypercritical of everything that I did that I'd never release anything. And I had horrible work ethic and like no self discipline at the time. So it's like, oh, I'm going to work on this idea. I'd like start the idea and then a quarter of the way through abandon it over and over and over again, which is why, like with this particular channel, there wasn't much content released. The content that was released, as fucking weird as it is, it actually got a pretty good, people actually liked it, and it was reasonably successful. So, that's just something that kind of irked me thinking about it. Like, shit, had I just been consistent, I probably would be in a different place right now. I'd probably be making my own content for a living versus, working on someone else's project that I despise and I am just so sick of, working on. It just would have been different. So, yeah, I hate regrets. Regrets suck. And, there's just so much like bad content out there that's just not really well put together that I'm actually kind of tempted to get back into it. I'm not sure if this is like a nostalgia thing. If I'm just like, oh man, I miss the days of creating my own content, so I'm gonna, you know, uh, enjoy the nostalgia by, briefly creating a few videos or something and then quitting again. Because I've seen people do that too, where it's like, they'll for some weird reason they'll get nostalgic and then like try to get back to the way things were because back then they were like happy or something, so they want to feel like that again. But it never really works out like that. Nothing can really be the same twice. And what always happens with these people, I've noticed, is that they'll get into, or they'll try to get back into something purely based on nostalgia, or just for some happy little feeling that they had in the past. And pretty much anybody that I've known who's done that, I guess, probably approached it from the wrong angle and was doomed to fail. So I guess those are kind of the two sorts of people that, or three people who I've noticed don't really ever amount to much when it comes to creating their own content. You have the dreamers who never act. These are the people who are like, oh yeah, I want to make money on YouTube, and they're doing it for the wrong reason. They're not doing it really for their own enjoyment. Like, hey, this is fun making my own content. They're doing it purely for the nice idea that they could make a living making their videos. So it's kind of like a pipe dream for them where they don't really take it seriously. So they'll like kind of take action, but it's not very good action. It's like mediocre. The videos they upload or the content they create is mediocre. The overall quality is mediocre. And, it's just, there's nothing unique about it or interesting. So they're pretty much doomed to fail. And, if that's your only motivation, then you're probably not going to last. And then you have the people who the people like myself who kind of had some success. So, they'll see an opportunity, but for some reason, on some sort of weird subconscious level, they don't want to be more successful, I guess. Like they have potential, but they squander the potential for some reason. Whether it be they think it's impractical, or they think that it's not realistic, or it's any number of reasons. They don't have the self-discipline to sit down and do it. They let self-doubt prevent them from doing it. It's just subconsciously sabotaging yourself, and that's what happened to me. I've noticed that happens to that's another thing that can happen to people. And then of course you have the people who are nostalgic, and they pretty much are always doomed to fail. So I'm just kind of going on a tangent here, just talking some things that I thought were interesting that I was thinking about recently. But damn, that bothers me. That bothers me that I didn't follow through with this stuff. And so I kind of went on a fallback plan that I thought was more realistic or something. And it turns out that I didn't really like that fallback plan at all. It was cool as shit. How many people with no college experience or anything have the opportunity to relocate across the country? But that's really cool. And it was cool for a little while, but then it just becomes work. It's you get into this stuff because you just kind of enjoy it. It's just cool to you. And then I don't know, some people seem to be fine and dandy turning it into a 9-to-5 job, and that's fine. They still enjoy it. It's all cool. And it is a really good job, to be honest. Holy shit, you don't need to ask to use the bathroom. That's a cool thing. I remember my job working in a grocery store. I needed to ask to use the bathroom. What the hell? I'd laugh at you if you expected me to ask to use the bathroom now. Fuck's wrong with you? But yeah. So I guess the lesson to learn here, if anybody's listening to this, is that if there's something you want, don't put it on the table. Don't let other people convince you that it's not realistic or practical. Don't take a safe route. If what you want scares you, that's exactly what you should be doing. Do you want to be in your deathbed and be like, shit, if only I'd done that? That's a horrible feeling. That fucking sucks. So, yeah, these are just some things that I've been thinking about lately. Kind of, and for that reason, it's 4 years later, it's really weird because I feel like after you pass the age of 20, you kind of leave that adolescence stage, and now you're suddenly a little bit more aware of the fact that you're aging. And it, that's kind of a scary thought. Holy shit, you're gonna die, and you haven't really done anything. That you haven't really done what you wanted, and that sucks. And in the past, that's really been a driving force for me. Back when I had landed my job in Los Angeles, my first ever career, that was a pretty interesting time. A lot of shit happened. Super long story short, basically, I was kind of sort of homeless for a little while. And so I was like, shit, what am I going to do? I need to find some way to make money. And of course, I did the stupidest fucking thing you could ever imagine. And what was that? I bought a computer with the little amount of money I had. And so I started just working on this stuff and just getting really good at it. And oddly enough, it was the dumbest thing I ever could have done. I was pretty scared about it. And I think that's why at the time it was a pretty worthy sort of goal to go after. Everybody was doubting me. They didn't think that this is possible because it's such a weird route to go. Most people they like go through college and stuff. They go a practical route, like they find some company, they get in the company, and then they work their way up. And that's about standard. And what I did was so out there that even my family was like, "What the hell are you doing? Go get a full-time job." And then I'll never forget that day. I just walked downstairs and was like, "Hey, everybody, guess what? I'm going to New York." Because the company that I had gotten into contact with was random, like, "Oh, hey, come meet us in New York. We're doing a shoot." Just like, okay, all expense paid, sure, whatever. And at that moment, that's when it was really real. Everybody's like, "Holy shit, are you serious?" So that was pretty cool. That was cool. And that was like something I wanted to do. I was like, I wonder if this is possible. I want to know what it's like to do this. And so I did it. And that was so satisfying. Of course, I got here and it was cool for a while, and then I just kind of like got bored of it. It was just like, yeah, I don't enjoy working on making content for other people. It's just a pain in the ass. The people you're working for have their own sort of idea of what they want. So you'll like go through endless iteration before you finally get to a point where they're happy. And then by the time you reach that point, you just, what you created just isn't what you want. It's like, it just looks like shit to you. To them, it's like great. To you, it's like, fuck this. This is awful. And, it's not really something you can be prideful of. And it's not really, at a certain point, it's just not exciting. It just becomes work. And when it becomes work, that sucks. So, yeah, I guess I should probably cut this video down. I said it was going to be like 5 or 10 minutes, but I got into this. It was kind of fun to discuss this stuff briefly. So, I don't know. This is kind of another thing that's been bothering me lately. It's the whole idea that, you can live on your own terms. You can just make stuff and you can live on your own terms. You don't have anybody above you. You're your own boss. And I know that this is kind of what I was talking about earlier about this sort of people that fail, and I don't know for sure. But I kind of, I miss making my own content. Like, I just got burned out of everything, and then suddenly one day I was like, you know what? I want to make my own content again. It's not the fact that it's not that I've developed like a hatred or something for what I do because I just don't like the work or something. And because I don't like the work, I just, don't like the skill either. Like, oh man, I hate video editing and visual effects in 3D now because I went through that shit. It's more, it's more of what I'm using this craft for. It's just not interesting to me. It's not fun to me anymore. And so when that happens, I have no reason to bother with it. Like it's the skill itself is not really the end game. It's a means to an end. And if the end isn't really worthwhile, if it doesn't really excite you or it's not interesting to you, the means doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about, it'd be kind of cool to get back into making my own content again. Regardless of whether or not it is super successful. Although I would be totally lying if I told you that, you know, deep down inside, I really do want to be internet famous. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. Everybody does. And that's why there's so many people making content. But unfortunately, Pareto's principle holds true here, and there will always be the bottom 80% who make shit content and can't really compete. So it's like, I got this good skill. I honed it. I got really good at it. I should use it for something. I don't know. I'm contemplating it. I don't know if, going back and making my own content is based on a nostalgia impulse, or if it's that, I purely just want to make shit again for the sake of doing it because it was fun, or it is fun, and it's something that I can get into, or what. But I don't know. I think it's mostly just I want to squash regret. I don't want to say if only I had. That's horrible. Like, if you never, please, if you're listening to this, never find yourself in a situation where you're saying if only I had. Be willing to take the risk. Be willing to put in the extra effort. Be willing to, do something that's impractical for what you want. Because, the most satisfying things are the things that you never thought you could really do, or the things you have no idea. Like, how on earth will I ever pull this off? But then when you get there, that's so satisfying. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm sure you guys have experienced this before, but it's just awesome. It's like, I have no idea. I don't think I can do this thing, but I want this thing, and so I'm going to do it. And the weirdest thing is, in my own experience, I found that when you kind of approach it like that, things seem to fall into place a little bit better. And I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Why is it that these other people fail and some people succeed? Clearly, the people who fail don't really want... They must not really want it. Because if you really want something, you'll get it. And it's really weird. That's just how it works. I don't know how or why, but that's just how it works. So, yeah, I guess the three profiles that I mentioned about people who I've noticed don't really tend to succeed in this realm, I guess that's probably what it really boils down to for them. They don't really want it. It's just like, I guess what it is it's sort of entertaining a daydream or a fantasy. It's like, oh, this would be really cool to do. So they'll kind of like dick around with it a little bit, but they don't really have the courage or the self-discipline to do it. It's, I don't know, it's weird. It's like for some people, it just clicks, and that is it. That is the thing they're gonna have. And then for other people, it's just like, yeah, I kind of want it, but... And that's what kills them. It seems like it's when you make that decision. It needs to be like... It's really weird. I'm sure some of you guys know what I mean, but it's like, you make that decision, and it goes from kind of like, I don't know, to like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do this. I don't care if it kills me. I don't care if, I go broke. I don't care if I'm homeless. I'm going to do this. And it's the weirdest thing in the world, because when you get into that state of mind, that's where things fall in place. And that's exactly what happened for me, that, like when I, kind of had my first success in moving towards the industry, when that was what I wanted. Like at the time, that was what I wanted, and that's what I did. It went from like, I don't know. And it seems like a lot of people think that it's really hard to get into the industry. Like, holy shit, you need to spend years and years and years. And you need to be super lucky. You need to go to college. You need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and all this shit. Yeah, I beg to differ. Holy shit. I am such a fluke. I never should have gotten that job. But I did, and here I am. And I think that's what it was. I just made that decision. And stupid, lucky shit happened to me. And yeah, I guess so. Yeah, holy shit. 25 minutes. I got to get moving. This is just a topic that really fascinates me. So I don't know if there's anybody still around. Do you have any thoughts on this? And let me ask you, do you think it would make sense for someone who sort of years ago wanted something but gave up on it? Do you think it makes sense for them to go back and try to, I'm not going to say the word try, go back and get it? Do you think it's based on nostalgia, or do you think that it's just maturity? Do you think that it's like realizing that, you fucked up and learning from your mistake and improving? I don't know. I want to hear what some other people think. So here we are, 26 minutes. I said this is going to be 5 or 10 minutes. Whatever, got into it. So let me know if you guys, like, if there's anybody still on this channel. Holy shit. I'm contemplating, long story short, I'm contemplating making a new channel and, just seeing what happens. I just want to kind of make my own content here and there. I know it's totally oversaturated, but why not give it a try again? It'd be kind of cool to, this time around, actually make it happen.